That's a song.
All rise.
That's a song. Sorry. They moved it again.
Jesus Christ, it's on the wrong side.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Deputy Supervisor McCarthy,
Here.
Councilman Wareheim,
Here.
Councilman Creighton,
Here.
and Councilwoman Noack.
Here.
Sitting as the Board of Water Commissioners to authorize the following. Tuesday, February 4th, 2014. I assume that's the minutes of that meeting? Okay. And 2 a transfer and 3 a transfer.
Councilwoman Noack,
Here.
Councilman Creighton,
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim,
Yes.
and Councilman McCarthy.
Yes. Public hearing. Town Board to consider proposed amendments to Chapter 322 of the Code of the Town of Smithtown entitled Building and Zone Ordinance as it relates to use regulations.
Good afternoon, Deputy Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Frank DeRubies. I'm the Director of Planning Community Development for the Town of Smithtown. For today's public hearing, by the way, I have attached to each of your agendas, you have a copy of the ordinance as well as this map, which I've positioned so that the public can see it. You have a smaller copy that's on your desktop. As I mentioned, the purpose of today's public hearing is to consider an amendment to Chapter 322 in order to permit the town to create overlay districts and also to consider regulations for its first overlay district, and that is in the Hauppauge Industrial Park. An overlay district is a district that sits atop another district. We're all familiar with regard to how zoning is implemented. We have the town broken down into districts, either residential, industrial, or commercial. And what this regulation permits is a new district that would sit on top of those districts. And what it does is it allows the town to either put more restrictive or less restrictive regulations in effect for the areas on top of this new district. Now, we already have overlays in the town of Smithtown. The most common that the board is familiar with is the Nessequag River Corridor, where we have the Wild, Scenic, and Recreational Rivers Act. Is a half-mile corridor in which there are specific land use regulations that supersede the towns. Other municipalities have created also overlay districts, such as other villages like the Historic District. What an overlay district is intending to do is to really develop or fine-tune regulations for a specific area. What is different about today's public hearing is that in the 1990s, the state of New York recognized that overlay districts were a unique feature and should be incorporated into zoning regulations. The other overlays that I mentioned previously are not in our zoning regulations. They are in special laws that are standalone laws. What the state did was create what is Part 261 of town law, which is called incentive zoning, which permits the town to establish unique types of zoning characteristics that apply to a specific area. There are 3 steps that are involved in the creation of these types of special uses, 2 of which we are doing today, 1 which we will do at a future hearing. The first 2 steps that we are doing today is 1, establishing enabling legislation for the town board to create overlay districts. In other words, this is permitting the town to establish the authority to create overlay districts. The second is to establish regulations with regard to one of the first overlay districts that we are considering, and that is the Hauppauge Industrial Park, and to set forth regulations that will apply to that particular area. And I'll discuss that point later. There is a third part, which is not part of today's public hearing, which will be at a future hearing on this area, and that will be to designate physically the area of the Hauppauge Industrial Park as one of these overlay districts. This is in effect a zone change application, and there's the reason why we have separated the 2 actions is they're 2 completely different types of approval. This is these first 2 actions are amendment to the zoning ordinance. The other action is a zone change, and because it is a zone change, it requires a different advertising and a different notice provision. Those notices will be, by the way, for all properties that are within 200 feet of the site will have to be notified for that public hearing when we designate it. But I want to stress that it's not today's public hearing. Today's public hearing is only on the enabling legislation and the description for the Hauppauge Industrial Park. Now, one of the questions that would come in is, why are we doing this? All municipalities basically seek to improve their local economy. This is both relationship to both jobs and in terms of your tax base. When a community is rapidly growing like we were in the post-war years, the economy is really rather secondary to controlling the growth. We are building new shopping centers, new homes, new industry is moving in, the economy is improving in a year-by-year basis. That is the growth period of where we stand with the municipality. We ended that growth period in the 1980s. And we're in the second phase of our redevelopment, which is really what we call a redevelopment phase in the town of Smithtown. When you're in your redevelopment phase, the economic issues become much more complicated in how you deal with it. What you're interested in is both maintaining your economy as well as trying to seek ways for your economy to grow with your existing land uses that you have. This is where the overlay district comes in as far as one of the tools that we will utilize in trying to discern what these areas are and how we wish to grow. In our town's comprehensive plan, the town designated certain economic centers in the town, one of which was the Hauppauge Industrial Park. We also have the Smith Haven Mall, we have Comac Plaza, and we have other economic centers that are the hub of our economic activity that we have in the town. And what we are doing in terms of our comprehensive plan update is taking a look at each of these economic centers and finding out how could we improve them. The first area that we looked at in the comprehensive plan update is the Hauppauge Industrial Park. And the reason why we took a look at the park first is because of its sheer size. The Hauppauge Industrial Park, as you will see by the map that is presented to you, is a very large area. It's 1,200 acres in size. It has over 800 businesses. It employs in excess of 50,000 people. It is one of the largest industrial parks in the nation. It is certainly the largest in the region, and it is certainly one of our chief economic centers that we have in the town. It is incumbent upon us to see that we maintain this preeminence in terms of a park and try to keep the park as an attractive economic resource for the town. Towards that end, over the last 5 to 7 years, we have been working, the town, the county, and the Hauppauge Industrial Association on several projects to improve that particular park, some of which the town board has participated in, such as the funding for traffic improvements, as well as supporting the county on its traffic improvements that were done, such as the reconstruction of the Motor Parkway Bridge over the Long Island Expressway. What we are attempting to do with these efforts was to improve the park to keep it competitive, to encourage reinvestment, and to eliminate or reduce any other barriers that would impede reinvestment. One of our efforts has been, and we started this about 2 years ago, was to examine our zoning regulations to determine if we could somehow improve our zoning regulations for this particular park. Early on, we determined that we were going to have to do some form of an overlay district with regard to this area because there was unique characteristics of this particular area that did not apply to other light industrial areas within the town. There was a lot of discussion with regard to this, and most of the board members are very familiar with this because there were several town board meetings that were discussed with regard to this, as well as there was several suggestions that were made with regard to how we could approach this area and what the limits may be. But in the final analysis, there came 2 limitations that the board acknowledged that we had with regard to this area. One, we had a limited infrastructure in this area. That is, we have support facilities both in terms of roads and sewage that would limit what we would like to do in this particular area. And short of establishing another major infrastructure program, we have to work within those confines. A more practical consideration was the consideration that we wanted to implement this as quickly as possible and did not want to engender an environmental impact statement. So this matter was referred to the Department of Environment and Waterways, and a report was submitted to the town board, I believe about 6 months ago, which concluded what limitations we could undertake short of having to do an environmental impact statement. The ordinance amendments that is before you is entirely within the confines of what was recommended by the Department of Environment and Waterways. Now, with regard to the specifics that are in this overlay district, when we took a look at what we wanted to do in this area, there were 4 basic elements that we were looking at: parking, outside storage, building size, and height. With regard to parking, currently in the town of Smithtown, we have 54 square miles, and our parking regulations apply uniformly to all areas. As I noted before, this is a very unique area in terms of its highly corporate environment, and what we have suggested is to deal with this area separately. In our overlay district, what we are proposing is the allowance of putting in parking garages up to 2 stories without any problems or permits other than a site plan, and also to allow sites to merge their parking sites so that we can have joint uses between them. We currently are doing this in part in some areas, but we are doing this in an awkward fashion. For example, we did merge the Tritech site with the Sheraton Hotel site, but there's a lot of complications that were involved in that type of approval. Now we are able to do this straightforwardly. We also acknowledge that we prohibit outside storage in our light industrial areas, but on a practical basis, each of the businesses that are down in the industrial park have some outside storage. And we should acknowledge that, and we have, the new ordinance allows for a limited amount of outside storage, provided that it is screened from public view. And then we talk about building size. Most of your modern high-rise office buildings have features like large atriums or large lobbies, which our ordinance currently discourages them from being built because we require certain parking or other types of limitations that are placed because of those sizes. The new code that we have eliminates any calculation of large lobbies or atriums from either parking calculations or building size. What this will do is allow us to build office buildings with nice large features such as large atriums and lobbies in them. And then the final analysis, the thing that we looked at, was height. Now, I would mention that we have routinely been granting height variances in the industrial park, and the board is aware of this. If you take a look at everything from the Marcus Towers on Marcus Boulevard, going all the way down to where Tritech is built next to the, and also the Sheraton Hotel, we have been routinely granting variances throughout the entire park. What this has done, however, is always put an impediment towards trying to get new buildings built in the industrial park or improved buildings built. We've also learned that there are new automated systems, and we have a large number of distribution centers within the industrial park that are utilizing these new 44-foot high automatic storage systems, and our building height of 35 feet is just simply inadequate for these type of uses. So what we are recommending is a change in height from 35 feet to 50 feet. However, there's a limitation on this, and that is on the map that is before you. As recommended by the Department of Environment and Waterways, this 50-foot height requirement will not be within 1,000 feet of any residential district, and that's outlined on this map that you see in yellow. In addition, we have gone way above 50 feet along Motor Parkway. In fact, we've gone up to as high as almost 100 feet in terms of that area. So the board is establishing, or we're recommending, a 60-foot, 2-foot height for the board to consider along the Motor Parkway corridor. That's indicated by the blue that you see on the map before you. That's basically the elements of the overlay district, but there's one thing I'd like to discuss very briefly, and that is one of the provisions that was eliminated and why it was eliminated. And that was, I originally put into the ordinance a sunset provision. That is, that I had hoped that the ordinance would expire within a given fixed period of time. There was a reason why I put that in, but it was eliminated because it was causing confusion and people thought it would lead to unnecessary problems. However, the reason I put that in is because what we are anticipating from the planning side is that this is a special type of zoning ordinance amendment that we are looking at. And what we should be doing on these type of amendments is periodically, and what I mean by periodically is at least every 5 to 7 years, re-examining those overlay districts to see that they are current. And even though we do not have the sunset provisions, I'm hoping to bring forth for the town in the future, or my successor will, at least a re-examination of these particular overlay districts on a periodic basis. The idea is to keep current with whatever the changes are, and that's what I think is necessary for the success of these overlay districts. Unless the board has any other questions, that completes my presentation. However, I would like to stress again that there will be one more public hearing on this particular matter. That matter will be the subject of a zone change. The property owners that are adjacent to this particular site within 200 feet, and there are a number of them, will be notified of that public hearing. Unless there's any other questions, Deputy Supervisor, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Frank. Fred Eisenbud would like to be heard on this matter. No, you give it to the clerk.
3-minute rule?
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Fred Eisenbud. I'm an attorney in Comac, but I'm also a resident of Smithtown. I live at 7 Bradshaw Lane, Fort Salonga. I'd like to just briefly address the section dealing with outdoor storage. First of all, I'm fully in support of this amendment, and I urge you to adopt it. And if the changes in the draft I've seen are going to create any delay at all, then I'd ask that you adopt it as is and consider my changes afterwards. But one is a clarification, and the other is a requested change to give you more flexibility, or the zoning board. If you would look at section 32234, A1B3, my changes are in red. The first one is just to clarify what happens if the way it's written, it allows for the 10% outdoor storage limit to be increased to 20%, but it has to be in containers. It's my understanding, and I'd like it clarified, that only the outdoor storage beyond 10% up to 20% needs to be in containers. The requirement that it be in containers wasn't intended to apply to everything if you're going to go beyond 10%, but I'd like that to be clarified. So I put, if the applicant establishes that 10% of the gross floor area is insufficient for the use of the property requiring outdoor storage, and the portion of outdoor storage greater than 10% of the gross floor area is entirely within containers, that's the portion. So I would like it to specify it's only the portion above 10%. Last, just to give flexibility so people don't have to get variances, I think the flexibility should be put into here for those situations where someone can't live with the 10% cap, needs up to the 20% cap, but because of the nature of the items that are stored outside, be they steel beams or whatever, can't be put into containers reasonably. So I just ask that we have 3, that the applicant establishes that the type of material to be stored outdoors may not practically be stored in containers, and that landscaping or fencing will adequately screen the material stored from view from the street. So it just puts in a little more flexibility. Thank you very much, and I urge you to adopt these changes.
Thank you. Bill Zimmerman?
Yes, Mr. Deputy Supervisor, members of the board, good to be in front of you again, and I'm glad that we're moving in a positive direction. Overall, I'd like to indicate my support for the amendment. I think that it will, in the long run, resolve a multitude of problems that otherwise would have arisen. Just briefly, I remember this property when it had nothing but McKay radio towers on it. It certainly been a benefit to the town, and I believe that by adopting the overlay district as it's outlined, you will increase the benefits to the town and to the community. So I do thank you.
Thank you. Rose Palazzolo.
I lived in that community and I worked in the industrial park. So I am very familiar with problems that arise for residents who live there, and it's also an opportunity to get a job. So it has its benefits. An industrial park in the Smithtown community is only as good as the town officials who are responsible to see that all owners and tenants in the park adhere by the rules for the safety of all concerned. When rules are not enforced, then the laws of physics take place, and every wrong action causes a reaction. We must make sure that changes made are for the welfare of the community and not just for the tenants and the owners of the property in the park. I am concerned with a few things. Outdoor storage is a negative. It can annoy other business owners, and aesthetically, it's not as nice as if you have greenery around. So if you're going to end up with having 10 and 20% storage behind a lot of buildings, is it going to be behind buildings, or is it going to be to the naked eye, that you're going to see things that you may not be happy with? I don't know exactly what kind of storage will be there, but our town has a bad record on outdoor storage in Kings Park. They're very upset with outdoor storage. So they are in St. James on Montclair Avenue by the highway yard. And by the way, when they removed trees from the hurricane in my community, I live in Fairfield, the landscaper had to go all the way to Riverhead to dispose of 20 trees that were knocked down by the storm. So there's no place in Riverhead, here in Smithtown, for the landscapers to dump trees when they. Is that true? Do you know? Is there any place in Smithtown that when somebody comes and removes trees, they have to go all the way to Riverhead? Because that's what you're going to be doing in Montclair. You want Montclair Avenue. You want to be able to cut up the trees. Am I correct?
Well, the stuff from the hurricane debris,
Yeah,
but we're not taking in commercial debris from landscapers in there.
Well, what I'm saying is that there should be some place in Smithtown to do this. That's all I'm saying. Why should a landscaper who takes care of Smithtown residents on the outside, besides Fairfield where I live, why should they have to go all the way to Riverhead to get rid of that when it's our trees? And I would like to see more greenery in any industrial park and not more outside storage. Let them pay to store the materials in a building instead of letting them store it outside, and they save money by not paying use of warehouse space.
Thank you. Guy Germano.
Good afternoon, members of the board, deputy supervisor. I'm here representing the Reckler organization. They're a major owner in the Hauppauge Industrial Park, and they applaud the board on the proposal in front of the board and have one suggestion that they would like the board to entertain in connection with the redevelopment phase of this park. The proposal with regard to parking includes up to 2 stories of parking garage can be built without board approval. It's difficult and expensive to build parking garages, and also in a redevelopment phase. What the Recklers would suggest, which would go a long way toward redeveloping portions of this for office use, and that's really the only reason you would have a parking garage, and that would be to amend the parking requirements for office in the industrial, limited to the industrial park, from the current requirement in Smithtown of 150 square feet of building per parking space, or that works out to be 6.6 per thousand, to something more akin to what Huntington has successfully implemented, which is 4 parking spaces per thousand, which is 1 per 250. They also permit, they also exclude most of an atrium from the calculations for FAR, square footage of the building. It's been very successful in Huntington. They have some of the best office space in Suffolk County. And as far as the developers go, when they're developing that space, they would not develop a building with less parking than they could, than they need. So that would be the one suggestion that they would have, and they think it would go a long way toward the redevelopment of the park, and especially in conjunction with the new sewer proposals. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we urge your passage.
Jack Kolker.
Members of the board, Deputy Supervisor, my name is Jack Kolker. I'm a founder of the Hauppauge Industrial Association. In 1977, I've been chairman, president of the HIA, and I chair the Government Relations Committee that worked very closely with Frank DeRubis, Pat Vecchio, Bob Creighton, Ed Wareheim, listened to their suggestions, and the proposal that you see before you today was not created in a vacuum. It was created with the input of both town board members, our members of the HIA, and is enthusiastically supported by the HIA board. I believe that all of the suggestions are viable. I also believe that if we went to further extremes, it would delay this even further by having to require environmental impact statements, et cetera, et cetera. With regard to Fred Eisenbud's suggestions, I think those clarifications are probably valid. If it, again, involves delaying this process much further, we could do it in a second or a third phase. With regard to the young lady who testified about outdoor storage, obviously she has no knowledge of this industrial park. First of all, 90% of the land area in the industrial park has to be green. Second of all, outdoor storage must be screened from view by greenery. Third of all, this industrial park, working in conjunction with the town ordinances and the town staff, is a perfect example of what one can do with commercial and environmental to optimize the look of the park. We are very much in favor of this. We applaud the town for its support, and I look forward to its enactment, and thank you again for giving this consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Kolker. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Move to close the hearing.
Need a second?
Second.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Okay, move to the correspondence part of the agenda. Correspondence, special event, Smithtown Chamber of Commerce, Smithtown Festival Day, second reading. Number 2, Parade Run Walk, St. James Smithtown Little League Parade, second reading. And number 3, Parade Run Walk, VFW Post 9263 Memorial Day Parade, first reading. Okay, move on. Anybody wish to be heard for or against any of those? Okay. Resolutions. Town Board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for the following bids to be returned to Town Hall, 99 West Main Street, Smithtown, New York, 11 a.m. on the dates indicated as per 1 A, B, C, D, and E. A bid for electrical maintenance, repair, and additions. That will be March 20th of 2014 returnable. HVAC service and repair, March 20th, 2014 returnable. Plumbing services, March 20th, 2014 returnable. Mobile radios, March 20th, 2014 returnables. And LED lighting fixtures for town buildings, March 20th, 2014 returnable.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 2, the town board to award the following bids and to authorize the purchase of the associated goods and services as per 2A and B. Bid for bearings, sprockets, chains, and et cetera, and B, the steel stock as per the printed agenda.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 3, the town board to approve the following as per 3A minutes of February 4th, 2014. B, acceptance of an appointment. C, town attorney or appropriate official to enter into a stipulation of settlement. D, rejection of all bids received September 12, 2013 in connection with auto feed mailing machine. E, Bay Constables to attend a conference. F, Bay Constables to attend a conference. Town attorney to enter into stipulation of settlement as per G. H, town clerk to issue special event permits with Smithtown Chamber of Commerce. I, Matthew Lankwitz, safety officer, and other employees to attend a conference. And J, town clerk to issue a parade run walk permit to St. James Smithtown Little League.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 4, LWRP, I'll move the table that.
Second.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Item number 5, the town board to authorize the controller to execute the following transfers as per 5A through Z and AA of the printed agenda.
Okay. Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 6, the town board to authorize the supervisor to execute the following in a form approved by the town attorney: extension of intermunicipal agreement with the town of Brookhaven for disposal of street sweepings and glass as provided in paragraph 3 of said agreement.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Town board to approve the settlement in the following matters per recommendation of the town attorney as per 7A, B, and C. $2,597.98, $444.46, and $1,187.81.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 8A, B, and C, the town board to authorize the acceptance of the following: growth and life bond, irrevocable standby letter of credit, and acceptance of escrow.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Item number 9, the town board to authorize the release of the following as per 9A, Bank of Smithtown, irrevocable letter of credit.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Under personnel, items number 10, A, B, C, and D, town board to approve the following personnel matters: a part-time appointment, and accept volunteer services.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes, and then we have 3 read-ons to the printed agenda. Number 1,
We have 2 or 3.
3.
full-time appointment of Mary Ann Jacolt, permanent full-time appointment of Mary Ann Jacolt to the position of Senior Citizen Assistant to the Smithtown Senior Citizens Department.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. Designation of acting building director, designation of William White as acting building director for the purposes of executing building permits, certificate of occupancies, and other such documents as may be required for a period of through March 7, 2014 through March 20, 2014, at no additional compensation.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareheim?
Yes.
And Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. The last read on, Highway rental agreement. Town board to approve rental rates for hired equipment for snow removal and other highway department work pursuant to the attached schedules effective March 4th, 2014 through December 31st, 2014.
Councilwoman Norwood?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Wareham?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes. And wish to be heard. Can't read that. Gabe. Can't read the last name.
Stanko.
Gabe Stanko? You wish to be heard?
Hello, everybody. I'm from Park Bake Shop in Kings Park. I'm here about the parking in the area that was proposed. I have heard that Mr. Becchio said that it's not really a problem with the parking, but I wish he would talk to everybody there, to all the neighborhood and all the businessmen in the area, from the chiropractor to the dentist to the fish market and the diner and the bakery and all our customers. There are times that everybody can come and is parking. There are times that they have to go 3 and 4 times around the block and it's no parking. It has created friction, a little friction to some of us because there's no room for parking and some of the employees, they're sent to park somebody else's parking space. And which means that now we have less parking spaces for our customers. I think the church also sent an email complaining about the parking because he saw a lot of people in parking their parking lot. And then when people come for the mass, there's no room for the people to park. Just as even clean up for the snow because people go there and they park all day and then they can clean the snow when the snow plow comes. It's just a whole series of problems that I just wish that I wish everybody else actually came here today, but I don't even know if they knew about the meeting. I only knew about the meeting and the seniors the other day when I went there, and I dropped off the rest of the petition, the signatures. We already got 750 signatures. Even though Baker said nobody has complained about it, I feel like 750 signatures from residents, it's an enough of complaint. But I just hope that you guys are considering making the parking whatever is available because it goes all the way in downtown area. I mean, on the side of the fire department, I mean, people can park at the train station, can park across from the fire station, but on the other side of town, there's no parking. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to note that there was a petition dropped off in our office this morning
Okay, great.
for
Thank you.
750 signatures.
All right. Rose Palazzolo. And Rose, if that's regarding the public hearing is closed?
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair what he said, because I'm a layperson, and I'm looking at it from the fact that you have had many complaints from people in Kings Park about outdoor storage, and just because you're making it so that each tenant in the park can use 10% or 20% for outside storage, that doesn't mean that it just should be carte blanche and they could store anything they want. And I think that in some cases, maybe what's going to be stored outside should be stored inside, and like I said, they should pay for it, because I don't think they're taxed if they put something on the outside. Are they taxed when they put materials on the outside? No. So therefore, they're saving money.
But they're paying tax for the land that they're already on, though.
But they're not paying tax for an indoor facility. And I know this, okay? Because when you have a patio in the town, you don't get assessed for the patio. But if you enclose the patio, you then get assessed. So it's the same thing for commercial. And I just feel that whatever is stored has to be checked. And as you say, steel beams, it's not enough room, so you're going to hide steel beams under a screen. No, let them pay to put those steel beams in a building, in an industrial building. That's why they're allowed to go up now. When they go up, they don't pay as much tax as if they go out. So there's a lot of things that will eventually have to do with money and assessment. And that is why we want business to stay here, but not at the expense of the community.
Thank you. Move to close the meeting.
Second.
County Supervisor,
Yeah.
Councilman McCarthy?
Here.
Councilman
Yes.
Wareham?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
That's one thing I don't want.